And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Geekwatch, a subsidiary of the monastery, the open bar of the internet. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have my good brother, the CEO of Zadari Enterprises, and the man of 1,000 runes, good brother Xanatrix. How are we doing tonight?
Oh, it's going pretty well, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to this.
So this particular instance, yes, it is another case of us during one of my favorite hobbies, fucking around with random generation. But I do want to give a bit of background. So a little while back, I came across a fan film / pilot project involving a hypothetical UA high Los Angeles branch. And then when I rediscovered the superhero generator that I had from Marvel Heroic, I thought, why not do something like that? But instead of setting it in Los Angeles, because why would you want to set it there? Let's go with someplace different. Why not a UA Great Lakes branch? And if
Are you saying that our UA is in Detroit to take care of all the people we keep sending to it?
I'm saying that there's different areas around each of the Great Lakes, and if somebody's thinking that I'm using this just so I have an excuse to have the campus be out in the middle of Lake Superior, yes. That is exactly what I'm doing. Because with this kind of area you can have plenty of forest, plenty of water, plenty of varied environment. Also the threats when it comes to certain environments, like for instance, we could use this as a perfect excuse to throw in dire bears.
Dire bears? But
yes.
Most of all, dire badgers. Honey badger don't give no shits.
But so given those little bits of inspiration, obviously a UA branch would have a hero course, and that is what we're going to be doing. Now, I do want to set a bit of ground rulings on this. First, I'm using the Cortex Plus system that was used in Marvel Heroic Role-Playing. Now, Cortex Prime, the current incarnation of it, isn't too far removed from this, but it's a bit more customizable. But the core is still the same, to the point where somebody did hack Marvel Heroic into Cortex Prime. Unfortunately, the only way to get Cortex Prime is on Fandom's website, because they don't want to do business with DriveThruRPG. But even with that, Cortex is a very robust system, and we'll be using that as our basis for this. We're going to create a set of quirks for a handful of heroes, and fill in the blanks throughout. So let me see if I can get my screen share to work. that is way too big. So we're gonna be working on the honor system in this case. Because I tried to set up a screen share so that the randomization could be seen, but there's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot to see visually. It'd be like looking at Aurora 4X.
I feel like I'm the only one who gets that joke, Monk.
Well, as they say over at RVT, Google that fucker. You should always just Google that fucker. So I'll hit generate random hero, and let's see what we've got. So for this instance, this is the now ignore the title for the power set. This is the power set that we have for our starting intro.
Okay.
I'm going to put that in the console for you. Ignore the title for the power set.
All right. That's actually a pretty strong power set, too. Got some good specialties as well.
Mm-hmm.
And two very... That's pretty OP already. Okay.
Okay, so we have Animal Control D8, Fire Control D10, Invisibility D10, Psychic Blast D10, and Psychic Resistance D10.
Yup. Let me actually
And
copy that all in here. All right, I've got that written all down.
yep, and Multi-Power and Unleashed. Multi-Power allowing you to use more than one power die in a action pool, and Unleashed allowing you to step up a power but add a die to the Doom pool if the action fails.
Yep. And then their limit is that they're a mutant.
Mm-hmm. Which
Now,
go ahead.
My quickest question for you here: why does invisibility have an asterisk?
Let it unfortunately it does not say. Let me grab the book so I can see. So that'd be in power sets. Example power traits. No, there's no I don't see any reason. I'm guessing it's just a quirk of the program.
Okay. Then I will ignore it. It is immaterial.
Ha.
All right. So they can use more than one power at a time because of multi-power, and they can step up with the risk of adding a doom die to the doom pool, equal to the normal rating of that power die. Because they've got the limit of mutant, they're affected by mutant-specific complications or tech. They earn 1 power point. And then all D8s for all their expertises: covert, menace, and science. I mean, covert expert makes sense because of the invisibility. I can almost imagine that menace would make a lot of sense considering the fire control and the animal control. The science experts, I'm not seeing why they would have it, but hey, every hero needs some sort of weird tick, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I would make Oh man, I would make a terrible joke about this, but I'm not going to.
Try me.
Okay, it's in council.
Fuck you! You are not getting away with calling this Phoenix.
I wasn't going to, but that was the joke. Fire control, animal control, and psychic powers? Hmm.
Back to sanity.
Sanity. Brainwave. Kind of like a combination between heat wave and brain powers. Brainwave. They have psychic powers. They can control fire. They control animals. They can even go invisible. And heat, with the way heat causes distortions in vision and light. Brainwave. That's my hero name.
Although, what's the quirk name?
For the combined quirk, affinity with animals, fire and psychic powers. Foxfire.
Foxfire?
Like a kitsune.
All right.
We've got all the invisibility and psychic stuff to mess with people. We've got the fire and we've got the animal affinity. Again, kitsune like to trick everything, so animals are not below them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's try. That'll be a good start for our first one.
Okay.
Let's see what we get. Let's see what our next entry ends up being.
If I see more jokes, I'm taking them next time.
I gotcha. Should I? Now I have two options when it comes to generation: random hero and themed hero. Which do you want me to go with?
Did we do a random hero for the first one?
Yes.
Let's go with a themed hero. Try alternating them.
All right. So our next.
What themes do we have to choose from, or is it just going to make a theme out of what it chooses?
It just says generate themed hero. I click that, and then I get a result. So here's what I have for this one, and tell me if you think this should be a mulligan. Or if there's part of this that I should that should be edited out.
I get rid of Mystic Expert.
For obvious reasons. We had a bit of a talk about this before we went live about whether or not there's anybody in the MHE universe who would lean into the magical even slightly.
Mm-hmm.
And the only one that we came up with was manga.
Yep. Because his head is literally a speech bubble, people, and he generates onomatopoeia words by speaking them, and those onomatopoeias do the thing the onomatopoeia would describe. So, for example, if he used the onomatopoeia for falling in love, such as mero mero, he'd create giant letters that say mero mero, and people would likely fall in love with him or fall in love with each other if they're around those words. That's outright fucking magic. That's outright fucking magic. But I don't think another thing, since they are students in what's essentially a boarding school, UA being a boarding school, I don't think they would be taught vehicle control. Most of the heroes that we see in the My Hero Academia universe tend to travel on foot or help with the help of other heroes' powers. And
All right.
then, I get why it gave them a lot of different powers. But looking at the description of durability in Cortex, resistance to injury and harmful effects more than average humans, I think we should make that. I mean, technically, the limit covers how that's conditional, how all of that is conditional, since it's all scientific gadgets.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that's good. Maybe bust the invisibility down to a D8, though. I don't think invisibility caused by tech would be as good as invisibility caused by powers.
Okay, so let's see. So I guess with this one, this would qualify as support course.
Oh yeah, since they don't have a quirk that is technically a direct hero power,
Mm-hmm.
they'd probably fall into the support course. But remember that Shinso is someone with a power that was also sent to general course and then is trying to step into hero course because it's clear that that UA is trying to change the way heroes are assessed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say that they're a support course member in this case.
All right,
But they do have. I see there that they do have the power trait of technology control,
mm-hmm.
which I assume is going to be flavored however we want to flavor it.
Yeah, here the reason why I picked a setup like Cortex is that there's no, the die rules and the effects are very much open to interpretation in terms of how they're expressed narratively.
Okay.
It's a case of all roads eventually lead to Rome. Whether or not it's a case of natural stamina or a power or a limited battery when it comes to something like conscious activation, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter so long as the rule ends up the same way.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go with the assumption here that while the gadgets do everything for them, I am going to say that technology control, flavor wise, is possible low level technopathy. Simply because if not, we have no way to determine what quirk they could actually have. If we attribute it all to gadgets, then we would have no name for the quirk because there wouldn't be a quirk to judge. Okay. And so they have the ability with affliction. They have the ability to basically give debuffs with their stuff, from what I understand.
Let's see if this can be much complications are just another form of modifier that can be put onto a thing. Um, it's not necessarily debuffs in the traditional sense. Sometimes it could be just a modifier based on the environment or whether positive or negative.
Mm-hmm. But this is a special effect, and I'm pretty sure it's tied into how they're using their power
Yeah.
in this
What
case.
one of the things you can do is essentially a stunt where you make a roll, but instead of doing it to attack or doing it for the typical pass fail, you're doing it to inflict put a affliction on on the environment, on someone else, based on the effect die that you use.
So low-level technopathy, uh, Gadget Master has the ability to multi-power again. But I mean, you're using a lot of different gadgets at once, so that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And also to afflict things, whether that be a person or an environmental object or any of that. And all of it is conscious activation, whether that's because you're pressing switches and have to be conscious to do so, whether there's a battery that eventually runs out, whatever that we flavor that as.
Mm-hmm.
Um, huh. I want to call this quirk something simple. I want to call it Trapper, because it reminds me of an old-timey fur trapper, going around stealthy and catching things with their wits.
Now, is that the name? Is that the hero name, or is that the quirk?
That's the quirk name. I imagine that in modern day, this guy is not going to like the fact that his quirk was named Trapper by whatever organization names quirks. We don't know if quirks are named from an organization or just by the heroes themselves in My Hero Academia.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems to pop up that they're named and organized somehow. So, as for the hero name, I could make a. I could. Here's another joke for you. We could call them Tech Raptor, like a flying raptor, not like not like the articles.
um,
Another good joke. I'm full of them today.
mm-hmm.
Hooray! It's much to your chagrin. No. Jet Falcon does his hunting and wants to get his whole I am cool and modern across, and doesn't want to call himself after his traps or herself. Yeah. They see their quirk as too old-fashioned and old-timey, and they want to be modern and cool because they're rebel children.
Okay, so next is a random hero, but hold that thought for 1 second. Keep talking.
No problem. Yeah, for anyone wondering, I'm looking at these things, building a very small temporary backstory, which then gives me inspiration for names. I have to make some executive decisions about flavor here and there. I know that the monk will also veto me on anything that's just far too out there, or just doesn't seem to fit theming. And also, I have to consistently and constantly plague his existence with my jokes. My jokes are the bane of his existence. But in that respect, coming up with names when we're all we're doing is looking at powers, when it comes to the hero names, is a lot harder than coming up with the quirk names.
I do love a good challenge.
A good challenge, yes. This is a challenge where I have to come up with at least a modicum of backstory to be able to give a hero name in the first place.
Okay. Let's see. So last time we went with, I believe, random hero.
We went random, then trait. Now it's random again.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see what we get.
Let's see if we get something completely messed up. Because I want to see my Macross 7 sized scout mech equivalent here. I'm never gonna let that go.
How's this for messed up?
Um, I mean, first we have to get rid of vehicle expert
Hmm.
because reasons.
Yeah, that's the downside with this. There's no there when I do full random. There's no option to exclude certain traits.
Hmm. Um, let me see how that one specifically. Oh, okay, okay, okay. All right, all right. We've got something to work with here. Oh man, we can build whatever the hell we want. That mimic throws a giant monkey wrench in. Holy shit.
And and still a pretty decent mimic. That's a mimic D8.
Yeah, but I imagine that with the strength D8 and the gravity resistance D10, the mimic powers are gonna be gravity related. They're all gonna be gravity related. Just so he doesn't get hurt by his gravity or she doesn't get hurt by her gravity, uh, while using it to enhance her strength. That would be a good way to put it, flavor wise. Makes constructs. You can do that with gravity. You
Hmm.
can construct things by changing gravitational fields to shape things in the way you want, or just with your strength. Or
Hmm.
oh man, so this mimic, I'm gonna make an executive decision here and say that this mimic type is the second mimic type. Someone with no fixed powers that instead spontaneously creates them, rather than the first mimic type of being able to copy and mimic others. Um, limit. I see we have limit mutant again.
Hmm.
It's going to probably pop up a lot.
Yeah.
Now, looking at special effect constructs, you can step up your effect die when creating specific assets. But that versatile special effect is again, this that ties into mimic so well because according to the description from the trait guide, it represents individuals who utilize a single power in a variety of ways. So this is a way that whoever this hero is, they could use mimic in a multitude of ways, whether it's enhancing their strength, whether it's uh, or well assisting their strength, whether it's using gravity-based powers since they have resistance to it and nobody else does,
Hmm.
whether it's making constructs with mimic and using them in versatile fashion. Oh man, oh man. Um, I, here's your joke hero name for this one, Granzon. I have to, and Shu would be proud. A giant robot that can control black holes. Yes. Um. So since the mimic can basically be used in a way that flavor wise enhances what they already have or does something no one expects. And it's clear that they also have a penchant for moving around the battlefield real quick with that acrobatics expert and also messing with people's heads. I assume that's what Psych Master means.
um, it's is psychology.
Yeah, so messing with people's
Hmm.
heads. Um, I I'm getting a feel for what the hero would be like. I'm just having trouble coming up with a name for the quirk. I think for the quirk, I want to call it sand castle. Because Mimic can be used to build things, Strength can be used to do stuff, Gravity can be used to do stuff. It can all be built up real quick, and it can all be wiped away real quick, like a sand castle. And it can do, there are very simple sand castles built out of, 4 piles from a bucket and some walls, and then a piled bucket in the center. And there are some really complicated sand castles that are sand sculptures. It all talks about the versatility of the powers that this quirk has. As for the hero, you have any ideas for a name there, Monk? I don't want to be taking all the opportunities.
Given the fact that we have gravity resistance, mimic, and strength. This is gonna sound dumb, but part of me was thinking some variation of hard hat, or actually, since the Ultraverse is dead, hard case.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that. That actually sounds pretty good. And of course, this person is also going to have, as pointed out from their specialties, great times messing with people's heads and moving about the battlefield in a way that is heretofore unseen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I guess we're on the Fiend hero again.
Yep. So let's see what we're gonna get. Okay. Interesting. We've got our first two. We've got a 2 power set hero in this case.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
One of them we're gonna have to do some edits.
I let me see here. Okay. Well, I mean, we just say it isn't. It's pretty easy to edit that, I think. We're just getting rid of the middleman there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in this respect, we've got someone who's using gear along with earth control. But the two powers are separate from each other. Like, the gear is not dependent on the earth control, and the earth control is not dependent on the gear. They both have their own limits, their own SFX, everything. Okay. I mean, we'll remove Mystic Master since we're not making them Mystic. And we'll also... The gear being part of their powers seems more to me like just equipment that they have with them rather than being their direct power. So and all that power, all that gear power does is give them additional durability and a weapon.
Mm-hmm. So we can probably have it that it's just them making a weapon and armor out of their earth power.
If we wanted to, yeah. Um, and we could still keep the limit for gear because it is gear. They could use their earth powers without having to create gear if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and also, since we're getting rid of Mystic Master, I would say that Combat Expert should go up to D10. So now, Earth Control has area attack powers, obviously, and their gear, when active, has the SFX for focus.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, when it comes to area attack, I should delve into the core dice system that Cortex Plus has.
mhm.
The approach it the it's not a case of an attribute skill dichotomy, obviously, but the approach is you roll you roll one die for your current affiliation, i.e., if you're working solo right now, working with a buddy, or working as part of a team.
Mhm.
One die for your distinction, either a D8 if your distinction is being used positively, or a D4 if it's being used negatively, but you can give yourself a plot point. One die for one power set, unless you've got a special effect that allows you to do both. Actually, one for one power set each, I should say, and one die for a specialty. You take two of these die to determine your total, and one of them to determine the strength of the effect. Um, so something
Since
like
we are,
go ahead.
I was going to say, so since we don't really have their affiliations or their distinctions, and we're
The
just
reason
looking at,
why I point this out is any die that rolls as a 1 you can't add to the pool. That is added to the DM's Doom pool.
yeah,
Um, Area effect allows you to add an extra d6 and add an extra effect die instead of just keeping one effect die. But of course, there's the obvious catch that more d6s, because there's no limit on how many d6s you can add. More d6s adds the chance of rolling more ones.
yeah, and for area attack, it's each additional target within range adds a d6, and
Mm-hmm.
you keep an additional effect die.
Yeah.
So I don't think that that's going to play too much of an issue into the generation of heroes here, but I do understand mechanically what that's going to do.
Mm-hmm. Um, and it doesn't have to be the standard AOE, because the power set that Captain America has for the vibranium shield, that has the area attack SFX.
Yep, because it can bounce off multiple targets.
Mm-hmm.
Um. All right. All right. I don't know why, but just the idea of making an armor and weapon out of earth. Forget the name of this. This. I'm just gonna ignore that. I had an idea, but I can't remember how to spell it. So, not in a language that I know very well. So, um, the gear is going to be something that probably plays into the combat expert side of things. Uh, they generate their sword and their armor, or their club and their armor, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever they're using in their armor, whatever it might be. But, they can still just manipulate the earth to do things. For this power set, I think I'm not sure. I'm thinking some Incan. I'm getting Incan feelings because they were very close to the Earth in a lot of their motifs.
And close to a lot of blood.
Well, we have a combat expert who uses the Earth. Um. Uh, I'm thinking that the hero's name, so this is the hero's name,
Mm-hmm.
is going to be Pachacamac, which is the Earth Maker god in Incan mythology.
Could you could you um could you write that out for me?
I am, of course, always ready to do the needful. Hmm. As for the actual quirk, we could just call it a. We could call it Huaca for an enshrined or otherwise holy revered object, since he's already referring to himself as a god. And that one's easy. That's Huaca. I don't know why. All the earthen fighting just had me thinking Incan.
Well, well, you can probably have him use an Aztec Aztec. I always forget the name, but I always love the look of the thing. The the obsidian war clubs.
Yeah, that was actually the word I was trying to look up earlier. the
I think it's Huacachil.
yeah, it
I
has.
I am well aware that I probably butchered pronunciation. Look, as it's really hard to get proper pronunciation on a fucking dead language.
Uh, um, and I don't know if that's actually Incan either. Might be. It's the Makwahitl.
Yeah.
And I also don't think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but yeah, that's Aztec-y rather than Incan.
Now,
Uh,
fortunately, I don't think that this particular I don't envision this particular hero as
Giving
having
a
this
shit. Yeah,
having the same having a full on god complex, but more of our arrogance. If we were to have somebody who's the analog to Lord Explosion Murder, it's Pacha.
yeah. And he would probably tell his fellow students that if they ever have, if you ever cross me, I'll sacrifice you just as I sacrifice everything else. And then manifests his Makwahitl, and everybody's like, whatever, Pacha.
Um. Okay, so let's see that was random. So now it's time for themed.
Now that one was themed. It should be.
All right, then we go with random.
Because the first one was random, the second one was themed, the third one was random, and this is the fourth. So should be random now.
All right.
See if we get something even more fucked up than the last one that was random. Wasn't really fucked up. It was just like mimic plus grav. Yeah.
Speaking of mimic,
Jesus! Jesus!
So we have Animal Control D10, Growth D10, Mimic D8, Shapeshifting D8, Stretching D10 with Focus and Unleashed as SFX.
Why do they have expert? I'm 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 gonna have to call an audible here and say we get rid of mimic. It doesn't fit in with the rest of the powers. It just doesn't. It doesn't work with anything else.
I am tempted to call an audible when it comes to animal control and have that be a different kind of control.
Yeah, go. If we got to finagle a bit, we got to finagle a bit. Sometimes the power set just isn't gonna make any fucking sense.
How about sound control?
You know, I like the cut of your jib. Growth, shapeshifting, and stretching, along with sound control. Is this a Mr. Fantastic who isn't a complete fucking dick?
Yes. I'd go with, and whenever I've brought up using sound control as a power, I always have somebody thinking, "Oh, you just want you're going Black Canary with this." No. When I'm talking, if the in fact if there's any care if there's there was I forget his name, but there was one recurring villain in Batman Beyond who's a little more apropos in terms of what I'm shooting for here.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, he did use a lot of it to do long range attacks, but his opening episode, he was able to completely deaden most of the sound in the area.
Yeah, you're talking about Shriek.
Yeah, Shriek. And of course, then the tragic irony that he blew out his own ears.
Yep.
But
And of course, he has focused and unleashed. Jeez.
mhm.
Um, you know, the cortex traits that you sent me don't have anything on growth. I assume it just means a size changing power, as in growing and shrinking in size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's listed as growth because it didn't want to be specific about it would seem kind of pointless to have one power for growing and one power for shrinking when you're doing the exact same thing no matter what.
Yeah. Well, yes, and growth plus stretching means he can stretch real far,
Mm-hmm.
and he can shapeshift, and he controls sound. The name for the quirk is diaphragm, like the diaphragm on a speaker.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what in the hell with mimic again. Just eh.
And Rick, would you have walked into us randomly creating characters for a hero course?
A hero course based in the Great Lakes area, but mostly just Detroit. At least that's my headcanon. But we all know what the monk says.
Mm-hmm.
So, as for the fact that that he can stretch and shapeshift and control sound, do you got a hero name?
Um, because of what be because of what you because of how you had set it up. Um, I keep thinking about it, and my mind keeps coming back to vibrato.
Okay, okay. Vibrato it is.
Somebody who is not a he's not a full on mimic, but but he has a you could probably have him or her do a comic relief thing where they are very very good at mimicking other people's voices, which one can be good, it can be good on the field, and two can be good for completely screwing with people. So yeah, and
And
yes, you
also because they can shapeshift and stretch, they can
mhm.
turn. They it almost feels a little bit like Shoji from the guy with the multiple shapeshifting arms.
Mhm.
Uh, they can grow a mouth and literally be even throw their voice somewhere else by stretching there.
Yeah. Obviously, in this case, we're not going with the whole multiple arms thing. Um,
No,
it's
I'm still thinking. I'm still thinking just a Mr. Fantastic that isn't a fucking asshole.
yeah. Although what would be really what would be really funny is that this person is that vibrato could probably do side work as vibrato, the one man opera.
He could shapeshift into a bunch of different mouths. Yes. And then people would look at him like, what the fuck? Vibrato, why the hell are you doing this? Well, they hired me. They're paying me the salary of 28 opera singers, and for one. God damn it.
As far as business expert being a specialty, well, gotta learn to work the stocks. Because remember, folks, hold the line.
uh,
That's it. Fuck you. Bullpup's your hedge fund.
All right. Now it's another themed hero.
Okay, we've got a 2 power instance in this case.
Oh no.
There's gonna be some editing, I can tell you that.
Oh no. Oh no. I feel a powerful disturbance in the generator, as if a million variables cried out and were suddenly snuffed. Oh no. More gear. Why? uh,
Oh.
oh, 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 and this is a case where we probably actually could not combine the two.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're getting rid of vehicle expert.
I'd say vehicle expert and cosmic.
Cosmic.
I'm not sure why it would have cosmic expert and master. That's weird.
Has combat master and cosmic expert.
Oh,
You might want to read a little closer there, Monk.
all right. So cosmic expert goes, and vehicle expert goes.
Psychic blast and psychic resistance? Immunity to psychics? It doesn't specify what immunity, what specific attack type they're in being immune from.
I think in this case I think in this case it does it that's one of those things where you're supposed to fill in the blank when it comes to it.
Yep.
I get the feeling that in this case the immunity would be fire/heat and psychics.
Yeah, but I was thinking of moving the fire heat resistance to their gear, because it doesn't make sense to have fire heat resistance in the mix with the psychic stuff. The senses it does, but maybe the fire and heat resistance could come from their gear instead. They only have immunity to psychics, and the heat resistance is from their gear. I also imagine that their gear is not going to be something they make with their psychic
No,
It is separate. It is fully separate.
we're not dealing with Betsy Braddock here.
Yep. Um, but it also means that perhaps the reason they get weapon D8 is it's a channel, something they could channel psychic power through.
That I'm perfectly willing to go with. Basically, channeling the blast into a weapon.
Yeah.
Um, um, and as far as I'm and I'd say it I'd say given that the as far as what kind of that does bring the question. We need to figure out what's the given the fact that it has durability D8 and now fire and heat resistance D8. Um, which what sort of weapon are you thinking of, or because I keep thinking of some kind of shield.
Um, with the weapon that I was thinking of, I was thinking more something that kind of looks like a handheld crossbow, but it has a focus crystal instead.
Well, like the crossbow from Dusk or the ethereal crossbow from Heretic.
Yeah, essentially.
I can go with that. I probably wouldn't go with the ethereal crossbow because that's a shotgun in all but name.
I'm not talking about how it fires. I'm just
Mhm.
talking about what the form looks like.
Yeah.
But I assume that this same weapon, because it just has a psychic focus on it,
Mm-hmm.
they can channel their psychic power into it to also use it to put up, you know, a psychic shield,
Yeah.
and that's what adds to the durability and the fire and heat resistance. So really, the gear is a tool used with their quirk.
Mm-hmm.
The quirk is still mostly the psychic power. Well, it is all the psychic powers. Um, in that respect, it's a fairly straightforward psychic quirk. Hmm.
Which we might be stretching things, but but psychics are a thing.
Yeah. Um. Hmm. For the quirk, huh? I'm not sure. You're gonna have to come up with this one on your own, monk. I'm kind of stumped.
Hmm. I am think um see given some of the aspects I am thinking as far as this could be either a hero name or a quirk name, but the word backdraft keeps coming to mind.
I think that'd be the hero name, because the power itself doesn't have anything to do with fire, just the way it's used
Mm-hmm.
through the gear.
Yeah. And as far as the quirk name, mm, Part of me wants to say psyops, if if only because the we have basic
We have a psychic blast, some psychic resistance, and increased senses.
mm-hmm.
Psyops works for me.
Yeah.
As a quirk name.
Also, damn good game.
Yes. Alrighty.
Let's see. I believe that was a random hero.
So next should be a... No, hold on. Let me count again. No, that was themed.
All right. So now for a random.
E. Unless I counted wrong last time, and now we're really off the rails. I don't know.
Okay. And I don't like what it gave me, so I'm re-rolling.
Okay.
Mm.
It gave some pretty crap. See there.
Yeah, this one sounds better.
Okay. Another 2 power sets.
Mm-hmm.
Great. What? What even? What even? We do not need Mimic. Mimic can go away. We have a Mimic already.
Alright,
Make it
that's
stop.
Mimic is gone.
Mm-hmm. As for the cosmic resistance, what does it even mean by cosmic in this respect? Just
You know how there's a whole division of of characters in a lot of comics that utilize some sort of cosmic energy. That's kind of what it's going for. So I think when it comes to that, we can get rid of that completely.
in that respect, I want to bump speed up to D10. Sacrifice cosmic resistance. They need a buff elsewhere, and their reflexes is already D10, so that would fit.
Let's see. I should note that in the core book it says that at speed D10, you're faster than a bullet train.
Which is why they need the fire resistance.
Oh, yeah, fair
Okay.
point. That
The entire second power set is just what?
I am getting rid of growth and shapeshifting in this.
Yeah.
They don't fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually,
Do we?
I think instead air control D12.
Are we getting a super fast Aang? Is that what this is?
I am thinking of somebody. I'm thinking in this case, this is somebody who is able to achieve their speeds by eliminating wind resistance and creating vacuums.
Okay, I've got a quirk name for you already, by the way.
All right, what do you got?
Wind tunnel. And no, for anybody out there who thinks that this sounds too close to Wind Scar, this is This is not Inuyasha. So fuck y'all.
When you said wind tunnel, I wasn't even gonna go with wind scar because I was gonna go with best boy. Look, certain fans can hate me all you want, but you know I'm right. And no, I'm not just saying that because he is a monk.
Yeah, but the name of that wasn't even wind tunnel in Japanese, though.
I know, I just had to head that off at the pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now let now for some so let me okay, so wind tunnel's the quirk. We have fire resistance, probably built up
He can
over
starve it.
huh?
I think his fire resistance derives from the fact that he can starve it of oxygen.
Mm-hmm. Um, reflexes and speed at D10. Um,
Can be invisible.
the and has the dangerous SFX, which let's see, dangerous. Add a D6 to your die pool for an attack action, and step up highest die in pool by -1. Step up stress type inflicted by +1. So essentially, it. I think I mentioned that as for dangerous use of a character's abilities, i.e., pushing the limit.
Yes. Ultimately, I think that with all the air control and the speed, um, Sonic Boom. Yeah, I'm going Guile here, guys. Either that or just Mach speed. Because he's gonna break the sound barrier with all that air.
I wanted to
However we
say
want to go.
okay, Boomer.
You'd only be calling yourself a boomer at that point.
Although if I'm allowed to reference a album from a jazz pianist I like, Sonic Bloom.
Works too. Sonic Bloom. That
The
works as a name.
the jazz musician I'm referring to is Hiromi Uehara.
Hiromi Uehara? Yeah. Alrighty. Well then, Sonic Bloom, she shall be our wind-based hero.
Mm-hmm. Um,
And starves fires of oxygen and doesn't afraid of going way too fast.
because I've always wanted to do some sort of speed character who can't just go fast at will like the Flash. It's more their going fast is more it has to be more controlled and more in a straight line, like they're an extreme version of a track runner.
What's really fun is that the reason she has the reason she would need such high reflexes is to know when to stop.
Yeah, and I am drawing a bit from my own past because when when I did skate I could be pretty fast. It's just my problem was the whole slowing down part. And
Yeah,
that's with ice skates, not with roller skates. With roller skates, I didn't have that problem.
roller skates are easy.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, so that should have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That should have been a random, so now we should go to themed.
Mm-hmm.
And how many heroes do you think we should generate?
Okay, let's see how many we have so far.
We have
One.
7.
I'd say a decent class size would be an even 10, wouldn't you?
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
So is this our new person?
Yes. Or should we re-roll on this one?
Um, hold on, let me take a closer look. Yeah, that seems mostly based in sorcery and mystic. That's a mulligan.
How's this?
There's a couple of things that we'd have to edit out, but I like that one. I really like that one.
All right.
That's even more grands-on than the other gravity controlled, gravity resist person. This is super grands-on. It's Neo grands-on. That's what it is.
So we have Force Blast D10, Gravity Control D8, Intangibility D8, and Invisibility D10.
Yep. Mind dropping that in council for me there?
I can do that.
I'm also keeping my own list of peoples. Couple things we gotta delete from their specialties, I can already see.
Yep, Cosmic Experts gotta go.
Yup. Wow, they're an expert in a lot of things. I imagine that they are probably just the teacher's pet. Multi-power and burst. Ooh.
And they have with Force Blast. I could
But
see
things,
them using multi-power to make themselves completely to make themselves completely undetectable.
yep, intangibility and invisibility.
Mm-hmm.
You can't touch me and you can't see me. Not to mention they have force blast. Good thing it's not from their eyes. At least then they aren't Cyclops.
No, although one could argue that they're Invisible Woman with extra steps.
Invisible Woman doesn't have gravity control as far as I'm aware.
Nope.
And she can't become intangible, just invisible and put up psychic bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then they're limited uncontrollable. I really like that because that means something can go wrong with a power, and all of a sudden, well, shit's gotten worse instead of better. Hmm. Almost want to call this quirk accelerator after a particle accelerator, but then people are gonna say you pulled that from index. I'm like, no. Although I already have a hero name, I will say that.
Okay, what do you have for a hero name?
Event Horizon. Gravity, force, intangibility, invisibility. All of it having to do with a black hole, but not actually being a black hole itself.
I feel like that works better as a quirk name than as a hero name.
Probably. So then what's the hero name?
As far as that goes, you know what? Since you brought up a particle accelerator, Hadron.
Hadron? Okay. Hadron, Hero Hadron with the Quirk Event Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a medical expert. I like that. And a crime expert. I like that too.
If there's always I figured that we needed. I figured that it would only be inevitable that um, we'd have we'd have one character who would be our instance of the stiff neck, and I think this is it. This is our emergency exit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next is themed or random.
I believe that this is count. That was just number 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should be random. Because we started random, so every odd is going to be a random.
Okay, that's meh. Rerolling.
Eh. A lot of double sets there. What is that?
I think I like this one slightly better.
He said, an evil and malicious grin on his face. All right, let me see it. Holy crap! Really?
I would have to make some edits though.
Get rid of Mystic Blast, obviously.
Um, actually, given plant control, we got seed machine guns.
Okay. Okay. This
And,
is clearly the new hero of Plants vs. Zombies.
yep.
Because they make constructs.
Let's see. I'm going to go with flights. So flights and the approach that I'm going with is that all of these powers are from the plants that they create.
Okay, Yoko Kurama. Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
I'm not doing the Star Wars. No, I don't feel like blowing out my voice.
Well, I mean, it wasn't even really like people always think it's worse than it actually was. But it's not really.
And as far as the second power set involving senses and strength,
I think we should just tie it all in. Because it says that their limit the limit for their first power set is gear.
mm-hmm.
Which means it's stuff that can be knocked off of them or destroyed. They're constructs. So I just say that we keep the gear limit. The vulnerability limit doesn't really make sense. We combine it all into a single power set and keep the 2 SFX as well, boosting constructs.
All right. Well, they've got medical D10, which makes sense here. Um,
And Psych Expert D8. Well, considering some of the hallucinogenic effects that some plants have, yeah.
so this is probably the closest thing that we'll be seeing tonight of a good version of the likes of Poison Ivy.
Yeah, that's why I made the Yoko Kurama joke.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as for the quirk name, there are some obvious ones. You know, for example, everybody could go her her green thumb her her.
Nah.
No, but that's too blasé in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. I think I might know. Okay. So this is gonna sound real bad. And this could be either hero name or quirk name.
Okay.
Cordyceps. You know what the cordyceps fungus does?
Let's see. Wait a minute. Isn't isn't that the one that they use as the basis for all the creatures in The Last of Us?
Yes, but cordyceps is a real fungus.
Yes, yeah, it
Um,
is. It's just that they magicked it up.
they made it so that it was a cordyceps um, variant that affects humans.
Yeah.
What's really funny is that there is a creepypasta story that did it better, but way before The Last of Us ever came out.
Mm-hmm.
About a guy who was, or a girl, I can't remember, didn't really matter to the story, who was a biology major in their college, and they saw some of the warning signs of what happens when most things are infected by cordyceps fungus. And they went and bought a bunch of bottled water and packaged food and blocked up every vent in their room and weather sealed everything and stayed in their college dorm room for like 2 months waiting for it to run its course. And then they came out and there were a bunch of dead people on top of the buildings and people who died in their dorm rooms because they didn't block out enough of the incoming spores. And they were one of the few people who survived because they saw the warning signs and blocked everything up before they got infected by spores. I am, of course, vastly paraphrasing. It's a much better story when read. So, what do you think we name the hero, Cordyceps or the quirk?
I'm going with the I'm going with the I'm going with the hero.
Okay. Good old Cordyceps fungus. Some of the most terrifying fungus on the face of the planet. And you see what it does to spiders and ants.
Mm-hmm. Um. So because of that, I could, and given the fact that they have a medical expertise, I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to grow, if they're able to grow and utilize short-lived symbiotes on themselves.
Which is where they get their senses and their strength and everything
Mm-hmm.
else from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I imagine that they fly like a giant dandelion seed. That's just my imagination.
Except, is a dandelion scene flying or is it falling with style?
It's gliding.
Mm-hmm.
So for the quirk, then, seedbed.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty, and now we're on to the last themed hero.
Mm-hmm.
Last action hero? No. Okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie though.
Every time I think of that, I remember two things. One, the fact that I had a book version of Last Action Hero. If you remember those books with the tapes that would narrate it to you,
Yep.
I had that as a little kid, and that was my first introduction to the movie. And two, the cookie. I'm not going to do the voice because Maddie's not here. Um, so
My favorite part is where he tries to show that he's not a predictable movie character anymore, and he instead looks at Max and he goes, "Rubber baby buggy bumpers." Didn't expect me to say that, did you? I'm like, that is just so dumb, but that fits for this movie.
um, I think this one's a decent one.
Decent themed hero.
We might have to edit some things, but
Okay. I mean, yeah, we just change the source of the power, but that's really it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. That's a nice hero.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let me see how big someone can get at growth D10. With growth D10, you can grow to it. You can grow to at least. Oh, sorry, growth D10. With growth D10, you can grow to the size of a building, upwards of 100 feet, dwarfing all around you.
So it's Ultraman.
Let's see. Growth D10, Strength D8, Telepathy D8, and Durability D10 with multi-power.
And area attack for
and
obvious reasons.
area attack and conscious activation. Yeah, it's an Ultraman. Um, it just I can go with Ultraman or a nicer version of Mount Lady.
Actually, I've kind of I'm about to tug at both our heartstrings here. Quirk name is Jotun.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. Which makes the hero Thrudgelmir.
And I'm going to need you to spell that. I'm going to need you to type that out for me so I can put it in my notes.
Pretty sure that's. I'll double check though. I mean, obviously, that's that's the English way to write that. If we want it in Norse,
Fuck off! I'm not dealing with trying to mess around with my character map to get that.
I know, but I'm giving it to you because I know you're gonna want it.
Mm-hmm.
But it literally means strength yeller. So, you know, and he was the son of Bergelmir,
Mm-hmm.
or Bergelmir, I should say. Excuse me. Everybody needs to remember that Jotun is spelled with two N's. Anyone who forgets that, I feel bad for you.
Given the, let me see what let me see how durable durability D10 is. Durability D10 is superhuman skin and resistance to extreme temperatures or hazards.
By the way, since we did sacrifice all the mystic stuff, I think that strength should also be a D10, but that's just me.
I can go with that. You'll notice that none of the die we got were D12s.
We only
There's a reason for that. D12s is where things get ridiculous.
the only thing we bumped to D12 was air control for
yeah.
for Miss Sonic Bloom there.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as we had what was basically a giant in power form, I was just like, nah, this is a Norse giant. Here we go. Here we go.
Let's see, telepathy D8. Let's see, it just goes with. At telepathy D8, you can read surface thoughts, emotions, and share one or two senses, as well as link half a dozen minds together for communication.
I'm assuming telepathy D12 is Professor X stuff.
At D12, you can remain in constant communication with vast numbers of people, skim the surface thoughts of everyone in the planet, and implant entirely new life histories within specific minds.
Okay, so then he's a D10.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. D12 is when he goes to be. D12 is only when he puts his gear on with Cerebro.
Mm-hmm.
That is ridiculous.
But when it comes to Jotun, is it wrong that I see him having a similar personality to Colossus?
Nah, Thrudgy would definitely be the guy who gives you hugs and wants everybody to be around. He in this case, I would be Thrudgelmir. You, on the other hand, as a different Jotun, would probably Bergelmir. Bergelmir was not a very personable person.
The bear yeller.
Bear or mountain or bear as in not wearing anything.
Well, let's not forget that berserker means bear shirt.
Yep, Bearzarker.
Which
Bearzarkers.
some which I don't know. Which personally, when it comes to that, I always prefer the interpretation that it meant that they ran onto a battlefield buck ass naked while high instead of wearing bear furs.
So, from what I know, Norse Bearzarkers did wear bearskins into battle. It's the Picty people, the pre-Scottish Picty people before the Picty and the Vikings interbred, that went into battle butt fucking naked, painted in woad, screaming at the top of their lungs because they thought that other tribes of Picty would be scared of them, thinking that they're the vengeful spirits of their ancestors with their junk flopping about.
Yeah. um. Plus, let's be fair. The kind of you need to have some kind of furs on, given the kind of environment you're dealing with.
Berserkers tended not to feel anything until after battle was over. We don't know
Well,
if that was just how they trained or whether they were high in battle. That might have been both parties.
I think it's a little of column A and a little of column B.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 10 individuals. Um, now give of all the teach now suppose as a hypothetical in this instance we take one individual from the Japanese branch of UA to act as the teacher getting sent off to the states.
The homeroom teachers sent off to the states.
Yes.
Um,
Of the teachers of the teachers who at UA, who would be the pick?
that's actually a hard one. Um, Especially considering uh exactly who you would need to give that level of teaching. Mm, if I had to, let me look here. Let's look at the staff here. I mean, if we're gonna go with the obvious class, um, obvious head to send over there, uh, it would probably be the guy who already teaches English, Present Mike. I'm not. And
Yeah.
this is a logical reason here.
Mm-hmm.
He's bombastic. He's flamboyant, and he already knows English.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's teaching an English branch, um, and the fact that he is bombastic and flamboyant and has his own radio talk show and everything, is going to appeal to Americanized teenagers. I'm not gonna lie. Bombastic and flamboyant teachers who try to get along and are the cool teacher are definitely some of the more popular teachers in the U.S. Um, Either that or Cementos.
Yeah, yeah. Between the two, I think Present Mike is the better option. I was going to pick Midnight as the troll option, but then I shot that down quickly in my head.
What? When did that happen?
What?
I didn't know that.
No, what?
Midnight's dead.
Oh shit. Well, we're dealing with the body count things, but since we've effectively fucked around with canon anyways, um, so so let's see, so of this new class we have a we have brainwave, a fi- a fireman a fire and a psychic user who probably likes to troll people.
Mm-hmm.
Jet Falcon, who's very good at making traps, but probably has issues with the fact that I could see Jet Falcon being the one who um probably comes from a line of similar quirks.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like the quirk with Ida's family,
Mm-hmm.
the Ingenium family.
Yep. See, then we have Hard Case, who I just have the mental image that he's somebody who always advocates for workplace safety.
And he enforces it if he has to.
You know, just with the whole thing of make sure you wear a helmet. Oh, I'll be perfectly fine. Oh, is that so?
Here's your helmet. What the hell have you put on my head? Get it off!
Let's see. Then we have Pacha Kamak, who is effectively the bully, even if
He
it
think
quote
he's
unquote.
he's got he's got OG Sama or uh syndrome. He's got Prince syndrome.
Mm-hmm. And is a heavy earth adept, and probably gears up with some variety of earth armor,
Mm-hmm.
or in extreme cases wears a full on suit of earth armor.
Indeed.
Um, see Vibrato, who I see Vibrato as more of the innocent troublemaker, not full on troll, but still the prankster.
Mm-hmm.
Especially given the fact that he that with some of these is a case of not of it's hard to tell whether or not they'd be a he or a she. With Vibrato, it's a case of I don't know.
So does it matter?
It is literally a case of if I feel whatever I feel like at the moment.
I could be a radio.
Pretty much. Um, then we have Backdraft, is the, who I'd say is one of the more not uber serious but decently serious individuals. Um,
Then we have Sonic Bloom,
yep.
who is probably not very serious at all.
I see her as the one person who's most likely to create a mess, i.e., somebody who's very bad at using the front door.
But she's so lovable, you just can't hate her.
As yes, I could see her deciding to getting into class late by bursting through the window.
And then Present Mike immediately shouts at her.
Yes. Oh.
Come in through the door next time!
See, then we have Hadron, who who I'd say Hadron is I'd say Hadron has a enforcer kind of personality, especially since he's the person who could literally tell somebody to put their head back down. Like, and especially could say that to Potch, just going put your head down, Potch. He's like, what are you gonna do? This, and makes someone literally face plant.
Oh God, it's all about that gravity control.
Yeah.
Cordyceps
Mm-hmm.
is going to be the greenhouse or whatever type of environment we have in this school favorite student, and she's also going to be the nurse's pet.
that I can definitely go with. And last we have Thrud, who
Gulmir. Yes.
who I'd say is probably the person who's the biggest peacemaker, and probably the person who no everybody ends up being his friend in one way or another, even if they really don't like it.
He is the broest bro that ever did bro.
Um, I just realized that there was one character in Fate who I'd say is a perfect example of him. Bro Candor. You know I'm right.
I am not saying you're wrong.
Is Isk Iskander is Iskander is it takes Alexander the Great and turns him into King Bro.
Yep, Iskander or Iskandar, however you
Mm-hmm.
want to say it. He is a he is the broest bro that ever did bro. Yes.
Um, and I think all things considered, that provides a that provides a decent spread of characters to build this particular thing around.
Yep. We have our new UA High Great Lakes patrolling Detroit to make sure all those assholes we've sent there stay there,
Mm-hmm.
and also making sure that the Great Lakes area is a safer place.
I can safely say that although the big question is if I were to write this as a in the trappings of a manga, who among these 10 would be the focus?
Um, you've got a lot of good choices actually. If you wanted to be more comedic about it, you'd probably make it our lovable klutz Sonic Bloom. Um, if you want to make it about teamwork, you can make it any one of the people who is either serious or broy. So Thrudgelmir or Hadron, or um, even at that point, hard case. Um, if you wanted to make it more about a single character and the people around him, though, I think it'd either be Jet Falcon or Brainwave in that case.
That was where I was going. So good minds think alike. And between the two, I would say that you have the strongest arc possibility with Jet Falcon.
Yes, exactly. Whereas with Brainwave, he's not one note, but he's pretty well developed as that guy who does all the tricksy stuff.
Mm-hmm. But I think all things considered, that's a good spread to build around.
Yeah.
Um, Now, as far as whether or not I'd get anybody to do artwork on this, not anytime soon. And I need to find somebody who I could commission who could reasonably replicate the same art style.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna come cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I should note that while I was setting this kind of thing up, and I lost the image, but somebody had done a fan art of of um taking taking several characters in the MCU and putting them in that format.
Hmm.
including and more specifically start having the primary two characters being Spider-Man and Wanda. Peter Parker and
Spider-Man.
Wanda Maximoff.
Yeah, Spider-Man. I get. Wanda. Mm, I have misgivings.
Mis- Misgivings, but it could have some fun. And I want some credit for the fact that I did not make any plus ultra joke.
Neither did I. Not even on my tweet. There was no plus ultra joke.
Mm-hmm. But with all that said, I do I think that will be I think that's a as good of a as good of a as good of a coda as any. So so I do have a few interviews that I've got lined up throughout this week, including one tomorrow. Um, and there and of course this Saturday will be the return of Monastery Gazette, and next week we will have a much more open topic when it comes to Geekwatch. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk, and